Hello, good morning student of class 12th commerce. Welcome to Pandasar's virtual class on macroeconomics, and today we are going to discuss marginal propensity to save. As in our yesterday's class we discussed about marginal propensity to consume, and once again I repeat here what exactly we mean by the phrase marginal propensity to consume. It is related to when the income level of a consumer, when the income level of a person rises, then in what way he behaves on an average. If he is a normal person, then in what way he behaves as far as his spending pattern or his expenditure pattern is concerned. That means in what way he or she uses his increased or additional income, because income is rising. So yesterday we discussed about the behavior related to consumption, and today we are going to discuss about the behavior of a common man or a normal man or a rational person regarding saving. Because income is nothing but the combination of consumption and saving. What we earn, what is our income, is disposed in two different headings. One is consumption and another is saving. So, in consumption we understood that as income rises, consumption also rises, but not as much as the income has risen. So, obviously, when the income is rising and consumption pattern is also rising, then what happens when the first 100 rupees additional income rises, the next 100 rupees, the next 100 rupees? That means in what way he devotes his additional income on the heading of saving. That means whether the pattern of saving remaining constant throughout or the pattern of saving goes on falling, means with each additional rise in income, the consumer will save lesser and lesser amount of the rise in income, or the saving pattern goes on rising. That means for each additional rise in income, the consumer is saving more and more and more of the rise in income. So we will try to understand from these three diagrams. The first diagram tells us about the saving function with income curve, consumption curve and saving curve. And yesterday we have already discussed the behavior, the characteristic, the slope of consumption and income curve, and how both are related to each other. Today we will add an additional curve, that is saving curve, with that of consumption and income curve, and in a totality we will try to understand in what way as our income rises, in what way we contribute on the heading of saving and on the heading of consumption. And the second diagram, it tells us about the APS, that is average propensity to save, and the third diagram tells us about MPS, that is marginal propensity to save, because there are two types of propensity to save like that of propensity to consume. Yesterday we knew that propensity to consume may be average or may be marginal. The same way propensity to save can also be average or marginal. The marginal propensity to save curve tells us about the slope of the saving curve, whereas the marginal propensity to consume curve tells us about the slope of the consumption curve. So first, come to the first diagram. We know very well why consumption curve start positive, because there is always autonomous consumption, because even if our income level is zero, we have to consume something for our survival. That's why our spending or consumption can never be zero. That's why always consumption curve starts positive. income can be zero. That's why the income curve starts from the point of origin where it is zero, and as income goes on rising, we can see the positive slope. And how consumption and income curves are related to each other? Both are positively related, because as income goes on rising, consumption is also going on rising. Both are moving in the same direction. Now come to saving curve. Just try to understand the nature of the saving curve. Here you can say this is point 0, and if we travel along the y-axis below 0, then we will come to a negative space. So, because at 0 level income, consumption is 50, so obviously saving is minus 50. That's why saving curve starts from minus 50. Saving always starts from negative. And as our income rises, the distance between x-axis and saving curve goes on falling and falling and falling. You can notice here, this is x-axis parallel and horizontal, and the saving curve, with each and every rise in income, our saving curve is becoming or getting closer and closer to the x-axis, and at a point when the level of income is 100, the saving curve is intersecting with the x-axis. What does it mean? It means saving becomes 0 at 100 level of income. When we are earning 100 rupees, our saving is obviously 0. And the corresponding point what we find here is the break-even point, where income curve and consumption curve are intersecting with each other. When income is equal to consumption, then obviously saving is 0. So, what we can see here that three different stages. Once again, the point where the saving curve coincides or intersecting the x-axis, where saving is 0, and if our income further rises, then we find a gap between saving curve and x-axis that suggests us that saving is positive. And because saving curve lies above the x-axis, because here you can see consumption curve lies below the y-axis, below the income curve. Income is more than consumption means what? Obviously saving is positive. So, to conclude, three different points. At point where saving curve coincides or intersects with x-axis, saving is 0, and before that point, again towards the left of this point, this is also called a break-even point. So towards the left of break-even point, saving is always negative, and towards the right of the break-even point, saving is positive, and at break-even point, saving is 0. Three different stages. So you can see here, saving is 0 when income is equal to consumption, saving is negative when income is less than consumption, and saving is positive when income is more than consumption. So this is all about consumption function, saving function. And what is saving function? Just like a consumption function, saving function tells us the technical relationship between a rise in income and the way we change our saving pattern. One more technical thing you can notice here, as income is going on rising, the distance between consumption and saving curve is getting closer and closer, and the reason we will discuss in the MPC. So come to the APC second. The second diagram tells us about ABC. Along x-axis we have taken income, and along y-axis we have taken saving. So here you can see we have already known that saving starts negative and goes on rising. Saving is rising means what? The gap between income and consumption is getting closer. And at a point, saving becomes 0. After that, saving becomes positive. So, what is APC, average propensity to save? Is that the formula is average propensity to save at any point of income is equal to saving upon income. Saving upon income. So, at any point, for example, you can see here, this is point M, suppose. No, this is break-even point, that's why E. At point E, what is saving? What is average propensity to save? That is saving. Saving is 0 upon what is income? Income is 100. That's equal to 0. So at break-even point, you can see when saving is 0, APS equal to 0. APS 0 because saving is 0. H saving curve is coinciding with x-axis. That means both income and consumption curve are coinciding. Income equal to consumption means saving is 0, and at that point, at break-even point, average propensity to save is equal to 0. APS can never be 1. APS can never be 1 because in order to make APS 1, we need to get saving equal to income. And how it is possible? From the very beginning, we have known that when income, out of our income, there is always the presence of autonomous consumption. So, at no point of time, we can save our entire income. That's why saving cannot become equal to income. That's why average propensity to consume can never be 1. And as average propensity to consume can never be 1, there is no question that it will be at some point greater than 1. So APS can never be 1, APS can never become more than 1. So the value of APS always lies between 0 and less than 1. APS rises with rise in income. In last class also we discussed that as our income rises, more and more of our prime requirement, basic requirement are fulfilled. That's why we tend to spend less and save more. And because as with our each rise in income, as we are saving more and more, obviously APS rises with rising in income. Welcome to NPS. Unlike APS, NPS cannot be determined at a particular point or level of income. It is always determined when income changes from one point to another point. So, NPS equal to del S, that means change in saving, upon del Y, that is change in income. So, marginal propensity to save equal to del S, change in saving by change in income, and the properties of NPS is, first one, additional income is consumed, NPS equal to 0. When NPS will be 0? When all additional income is consumed. All additional income is consumed means saving is 0. So, 0, del S, change in saving is 0. Sorry. Upon del Y, any positive number. So, 0 divided by any positive number always results in 0. That's why to conclude NPS is 0 when all the entire additional income is consumed. On the other hand, NPS will be equal to 1 when the entire additional income is saved. Entire additional income is saved means del S will become equal with del Y. Change in saving will be equal to change in income because the entire additional income is saved. So when numerator and denominator both are equal, then the result is 1. That's why when entire additional income is saved, NPS is equal to 1. The third property is value of NPS lies between 0 and 1. And NPS cannot be more than 1. Why NPS cannot be more than 1? Because saving can never be more than our income. If we are earning 100 rupees, then we never can save more than 100 rupees. That's why the value of NPS can never be more than 1. So this is all about marginal propensity to save, average propensity to save, and saving function. Tomorrow we will be learning two different things: derivation of saving curve from consumption curve and derivation of consumption curve from saving curve along with investment function. Thank you and have a nice day.